dark side.
Hello everybody, it's Dark Matter here, and today I'm going to be teaching you a little bit about carving, hopefully. And what we're going to be doing today is I just did something simple so that I can kind of show you the basics of this, because basically, as long as you know your cuts and you have somewhat of an artistic eye for things, you can carve. You don't really have to be artistic about it, but it helps. So I drew this today because I don't have no stencils. I don't use stencils too much. Maybe at some point I will, but right now I just don't have the stuff to use stencils. So I drew this out today, and we're gonna carve it. And I'm going to show you how I do it and how easy it can be. All right. So let's get to it, okay? First of all, what we want to do is get your picture you want, to carve. In this case, this is what I'm going to carve, and I've chose this because I'm going to be shipping to Native Tearz here very soon anyway. So I figured I'd make her a little something to go along with what I'm sending her. Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this skew. And this is a skew. This here is a gouge or a sweep. I don't know how well you're seeing this, but gouge or... Right, there's a gouge. This is a skew. That's a skew right there. This here is a larger gouge. And this is a chisel. And these are tiny. Look, these are tiny ones. All right, and they're kind of thin, and they're meant for detail work. Like this, right? And right here you have a V tool. This one here is a V tool. It's called that because of its V shape. See that? It's V shape. Okay. So what we're gonna do is I got several tools over here. I may even use knives. In which case I'll show you them when I use them. But we're going to go with the skew to begin with. And what we're going to do is we're going to go right along the outline of this. We're going to cut it in. Okay, so you want to come over. You just want to follow your line as straight as possible and cut. Along that. Okay, so I've made my straight line. Now what I'm going to do is normally I would do the whole thing, but because I'm showing you this here, let me get these knives out of the way. Because I'm showing you this, I want to just do one little piece here. Like I said, you want to come in, just follow your line, Don't worry about the outline. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right, this is just the drawing itself is just it's a map. It's a guideline for you to follow. That's all. All right, so let's back that up just. I want to kind of get it in close. There we go. All right, so we have our first line here. All right, now I'm going to go, and I'm going to come up here. I'm going to make this cut right here as well. I'm going to come make this cut as well. Each time I go over that line, I cut a little deeper. All right, so these are called stop cuts. All right, and the reason for that is now that I got that done, I'm going to take this chisel. Right here. I'm going to come in beside it. I'm just going to rock it back and forth and push until I feel it give. Until I hear that cut. All right, see? I'm just relieving the wood around where I cut at. Okay, I'll come up here. See, we got that all chiseled out now. Now, you can come in, you can do what's called a sweep cut, and just sweep. Sweep that away. And you're just taking little pieces away. You're not trying to dig deep because you don't want to make big gouges in it. You're just relieving the wood enough to raise this letter off the wood. See, and that's the start of it. Right there, see? It's not very deep. Now, personally, you can do this with a knife as well. There's a knife. You would come in at that point, and you would just sweep cut it. Now I'm putting my thumb here for pressure so that I can control the cut. And not get too wildly crazy with it. Alright, just like that. Now, if you're going to do this kind of cut here, make sure that you got real good control over what you're doing. You don't, if you feel like it's got too much pressure on it and it'll let go and cut you, stop. Okay? Try not to cut yourself. If you cut yourself, your carving's pretty much done until you get the bleeding and stuff to stop. All right, then you're just going to come in with a little chisel and you're just going to clean up your mess a little bit. This wood here is kind of dry. It, doesn't like to carve very well. So, same was here. Just going to rock it back and forth to get to your cut. You'll know when you get there. Don't worry if it doesn't come off clean first time. That's all right, because you can come back in with your chisel. Find your line, come back in with your chisel, and just rock it back and forth just a little bit. And then come back in again and clean it up. Now, rocking it back and forth this way. Let's see. Rocking it back and forth this way is fine. You don't want to rock it back and forth this way too much, because you could break your tip, depending on what you're doing. Okay, so that's basically that. All right, now you can also use your V tool if you'd rather use a, that's a sweep, hold on. There's a V tool. You can also use your V tool if you like, and in that case, you can just come along beside it. Try to get beside the line. Okay, right here. Try to get beside this line right here, and you're just going to come in, and you're going to press in, kind of downward, and you're just going to rock it back and forth as you go along. Of course, it can skip like that. Don't let that worry you, because you're going to sand anyway. Personally, I don't like using the V tool because it doesn't get as clean of a cut. See that cut? It's kind of rough, yeah. So what we're going to do, I'm going to put that back over here. I'm going to come in, and I'm going to come right along that line again. I'm going to cut it on the line as best as I can. You can even use the skew if you want. You can come in and just cut that down, just like that. You're just sweeping it. There are no rules in carving other than don't cut yourself. Try not to cut yourself, because if you cut yourself, well, it's going to hurt. You can be as artistic as you want when you carve, or you don't have to be artistic at all. If you just want to practice, you can just practice. All right. So there's that. There's the other cuts. You can make two. The one I'm using now is called a stop cut, because I'm actually cutting a straight line. And then cutting it, sweeping it away with the skew. I'm just sweep cutting it. It's just a sweep cut. You're sweeping across the wood. Right, you're not really digging deep in straight. You're sweeping it across. There you go. Just gonna clean it, pry that up just a little bit. Pop it out. Right. Just like that. Right now. We're going to continue doing this, and that's pretty much going to be our tutorial for today, is the sweep cut, because this is something you should just practice, because it's a good cut, and it's one you're going to use a lot. You'll use that sweep cut more than any other one. So I'm going to continue to do this, and if I get to something else, I'll point it out as I go. All right? But really, for the most part, for this particular carving right here, the name, sweep cut is what I'm, or the stop cut and the sweep cut are the ones I'm going to be using. Now, there's also a V cut and a diamond cut. So I will show you them, if not in this video, in another video to come up. Okay? Alright. So I'm going to get to this, and I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of talking as I go. Remember, a stop cut. On a stop cut, you're following your line. Cut it deep enough to where you think that it'll be deep to the point where you want it. All right. You can always go back in later and take more away. Remember now, with wood, you can always take wood away, but you can never put it back. Okay, and if you do put it back, well, you can use wood putty and stuff, but it's never the same as not taking away too much. So always try to be careful to take away just enough wood to get you where you want to be. All right, even less, you know, it's better to take away less wood and have to remove a little bit more than it is to take away too much wood and not have enough to do what it was you wanted to do. Okay, some cases you had to overcome. You know, you had to improvise, I guess. So let's get this cut done. See the big scratch I put in it right there? Because I skipped across it. Right, so we're going to come in here, and we're going to come on an angle, and we're just going to take this skew, and we're going to slowly sweep cut it. Now, I ain't doing this the right way because kind of trying to do this in a way you can see it. And you're just going to sweep cut that all the way down until you get that chip to come out. Once that chip comes out, and you can come back in if you like. That little slip right there. Pull that out. Right up to the corner. There you go. See how it's, can you see how it's cut away? You're just basically relieving the wood around your template. Okay, you're just relieving it. So we're going to cut this across here. I think we did this already once, but it won't hurt nothing. All right. Then we're going to come in and use a chisel. Find the chisel. There we go. And we're going to come in with this chisel. We're just going to rock it back and forth until we feel it give. We just give it a little pop, side to side. See, popped it up. And we come in and do some cleanup. Get it right in there, just like that. All right. As you can see, we'll still have a little bit of cleanup to do over here. Right. Just roll that around a little bit. Like I said, don't worry, you're going to come in with sandpaper more than likely and clean up your mess. All right? I use a lot of sandpaper. Most woodworkers do. And just come in and take your chisel, even just kind of come in and just barely shave across the top of it. That'll That'll clean up a lot of that top area, so that when you go to sand it, it'll still be on a slope. It'll be on a slope, downward slope, but it'll be gradual, and it won't be as noticeable. See? So I'll go over here at this point and clean up this side. Not trying to get crazy about it. Just take your time. Go slow with what you're doing. Carving wood should be enjoyable. You should enjoy yourself. Embrace the serenity that is the wood. Right? Because it should almost be like a meditative state. Let your mind wander as you carve, and kind of just meditate on things that may be bothering you. Get them off your mind. Try not to be upset when you carve wood, because if you're upset or you're in a hurry, you're going to cut yourself. Sorry about that. That's okay. You don't want to cut yourself. I'm just going to pull that down just like that. Pick away at the sides. Just come in and just barely push up to the sides and then click it off. Just flick it. Flick it away. Flick it away. You know, you're just real easy though. You're not digging in, you're just trying to catch the stuff that's already been cut and hanging on, the little fuzzies. You know, things that are already not wanting to be there. I'm just gonna go real slow. Flick it away. And that's what I'm gonna do. Now I'm gonna go all the way around this. I'll let you watch, but I ain't gonna do the whole thing slow like this because, well, I'd drive you guys crazy and you'd be like, dang, Dart, come on. So I may go a little bit more slow, and then I'll throw it at high speed, and we'll finish this up, and then we'll get this and this done here, and then we'll move on to here. All right, because then I'll show you how we're going to do this. All right, this one's going to be a little different. All right? All right.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
right, guys, I brought you back. Look, I've relieved this and the top part of this feather and the bottom part of this feather right in here. And I want to show you how I'm doing this, okay? So I'm using, this is a skew, all right? The reason it's called a skew is because it's a chisel that's got a sweeped back edge. Okay, it sweeps back. All right, it's got an angle on it, all right? It's not straight, but it's sweep downwards. So it's, you know, it's not straight. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I'm removing a lot of wood, all right, from this, all right? I'm going to remove this whole area here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to this tier, and I'm just going to cut into it. Cut into it real good. I'm going to cut all the way around that tier. All right, just follow the line around. Don't have to be a very deep cut, depending on how deep you want to go with the project that you're working with. All right, so now I got my cut. All right, there's my stop cut all the way around that to this edge. All right, now I'm going to try to remove all this wood here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over. I'm going to put my thumb on the side of the skew here. I'm just going to shave that wood away. Just sweeping it. I'm actually cutting the wood. And just rock it back and forth. If it kind of hangs up on you a little bit and doesn't want to go, you just rock it a little bit. Back and forth, side to side. And it'll come. And when you get to your stop cut, just give it a little twist and it'll pop up. See, just like that. All right. And you're going to do that until you get all the way to the end there. All right, you can even be real careful though, okay? You don't want to go much past that because there ain't no stop cuts up in here. All right, don't go further than your stop cut because then there ain't nowhere for it to stop and you can actually pop out more than you want off the piece you're working on. Take your skew, get it on your line. Follow it around. All right, now you may have to do this a few times to get where you want to go. See how it just stopped right there at that cut? You just sweep it until you get to the depths that you want. All right, and if you have to, you can do this a couple different times. Now, at some point, you may decide, well, this skew is too big to get into the area. It's not. But let's say it was too big to get into this area. All right, now this is a Harbor Freight. This is a cheap Harbor Freight set of carving tools. And they work great for what they're for, okay? Now, the problem a lot of people find with these is that they're trying to do a job with them that they're not meant to do. All right, now I've done a lot of carving with these, but what I find is a lot of the carving that I do is too small for these particular tools. All right, so I will use a different set that I picked up, which is smaller. All right, that's not a skew, but see if I can find the skew here. Okay, here is another skew that I found from the local variety store. And it's meant for modeling clay and wood. But these kind of tools here are meant for chip carving. Okay, they're meant to chip away the wood. You know, you're not beating on it with a hammer. You could probably do that with these, and it wouldn't hurt them any. They're actually meant for bigger work than what I do. So I don't use them a lot. And if I do, generally it's the skew. All right, so with this skew, you would come in, you would find your line, and you would just kind of try to trace out that line as much as possible. You're just making cuts. Okay, then you would come in with your chisel. All right, see, I got a chisel. This is a medium-sized chisel, and that comes in, and you could do that with it, and look, does a fairly good job at removing that wood. And you could do that same thing I was doing with the other one. You're just sweeping across the wood. Now you have to be able to listen to the wood. All right, the wood will tell you which way it likes to be cut, and it's how it tells you is by feel. Okay, if it's chipping out real bad, you're going across the grain that's chipping out real bad, and it doesn't want to cut, it's telling you that it doesn't like that. Say, hey, there's an easier way. So you have to find the easier way. In some cases you can't, and you just got to make do with what you're doing and just be real careful. When you're carving, you should be real careful anyway, because your chisels and skews and gouges should always be razor sharp. All right, as sharp as you can make them, because for one, it's better to get cut by a sharp blade than a dull blade, because a sharp blade will cut, a dull blade will rip. And then you just come in and clean it up a little bit. You can clean it up, but just by sweeping across it real lightly across the top of it. You don't want to dig real deep, especially into this wood. This wood's kind of hard to carve, and it's pine, I think, and pine wood is hard to carve. But yeah, come in and clean it up. I'm going to get that. I'm going to get this skew back because it's a little bigger. A little easier to maneuver for this kind of stuff. And you just want to scrape the top of it to clean it up, because you're not really trying to remove wood. Well, you're trying to remove wood, but you're not trying to remove a lot of it. You're just shaving the top of that to kind of flatten it out a little bit. And see how that popped up? Did you see that pop up? All right, well, we're going to come right there. We're going to come over to the Z, and we're going to follow that line. Now, when you get to your letters, it's always good to come in something small and follow them lines around. Just trace them out again. That way, if your knife slips, chisel slips, skew slips, whatever you might be using, like if you got a hard part of the wood you're working in and the grain lets go, it'll let go up to that cut, and then it'll chip off, and it won't mess up your picture. So you always got to kind of think ahead on that kind of stuff, and make your cuts accordingly. The smaller you work, the smaller your tools have to be. And I will show you all the tools that I use for carving, hand carving, at the end of this video if you stick around. And you just go around, trace it all out. Remember, when you're doing your cuts, try to keep your knife straight as possible on them cuts. Always watch your hands too, because that lets go and catches my thumb. I'm going to cut my thumb really bad. So keep your hands back. And just so you know, if you're a wood carver at all, at some point you're going to cut yourself. I really should have a glove, but I don't. And, well, I've been fortunate enough not to cut myself yet. So, well, I've cut myself, but not bad. All right, so we're going to take that skew and put it away. We're going to get this little one, little chisel. We're going to come over here and we're going to start popping this wood away. All right, see that corner? I'm going to put my finger right on that corner and hold it, because this wood is something else. I'm going to pop it off right to there. And I don't want to pop away the top of this, so I'm going to put my finger there. I'm just going to get underneath that wood and just rock it back and forth. I'm going to try to pop it up as much as possible. I'm going to work around that tear. I'm going to just chip away at it. All right, real slow. Do a sweeping cut. All right, this is just a regular push cut. All right, pop it up. Sweep underneath of it. Pop it up. Sweep underneath that. See how that just kind of got away from me there for a second? Yeah, that's the kind of stuff you want to watch out for. All right, and if you get to a point where you're scared that it's going to go into another picture, put your finger there. Put your finger right where you want it to pop up at. See, there's already a little crease right there. You can put your finger there and pop it up and break it off, because it'll hold the other wood down. Or you can make a cut there. All right, and we're just gonna sweep this way, sweep away, sweep away. We're just going slow, slowly coming up to that edge. We're just gonna sweep it away until we get to the edge of the stop cut. Real slow, easy cuts. If you find out that it's not coming off or you're worried, go back in with your chisel or your skew and just make them cuts a little bit deeper. See what I mean? Now it's harder when you're working around something tight. So in some cases, I wouldn't need it in this particular carving because there's not a lot of tight areas in here. However, if I do get into a spot, like a lot of times with these littler carvings, like this one for instance, there's a lot of small detail work. And in that case, I would come in with tools like this, which are, and these are my medium tools. These are my minis. This one right here is a mini chisel. And it's basically the same thing as this one, but it's smaller. I mean, just for reference. This is my pinky nail. All right. And this is actually a chisel. And it's kind of partially a gouge, sweep, but it's got that, well, this is actually a gouge. That's a gouge. See, they're so small, I have a hard time seeing them. I use special glasses when I carve small stuff. There's a skew. I don't know how well you can see it, but there's a skew. And these are my mini chisels. There's your chisel. Oh, nope, that's a V tool. Like I said, them ones are really tiny to see, so. There's the chisel. So them are for like really tiny work. For like getting into eyes and whatnot, doing little cuts, like in wood spirits for the hair and stuff like that. I won't be needing them on this project. I do have a couple other cuts I'm going to show you too as well, because right now I've been focusing on the sweeping cuts and the stop cuts. Let me clean this up. I'm going to go around this whole border just like I showed you. And we're going to get this all cleaned up around here. Then I'm going to bring you back because I want to show you another cut. It's called a triangle cut. There is also a V cut, and I can show you that. I'm going to show you that too when I go into the feathers, to do the detail in the feathers here. So you can actually see what a V cut looks like as well. And I'll be doing that in here. All right. So let me clean this up and get to that point, and I'll bring you back. All right, guys. I got it all relieved. I got all the background trimmed out. And I did it just with the cuts I told you about. The sweeping cuts and the stop cuts. Alright. You remember the stop cut? Stop cut comes in. Cut straight down. And the sweeping cut. You're just sweeping away as you cut. Sweep it. Sweep it. Sweeping it away. That's all you're doing. Slowly removing the wood. And that's why I didn't make you watch all that. Because it takes a lot of time. But we did all of this. Now, when I'm finished with all of it, then I'll go over and I'll sand it all. Now the next step is to come in with these feathers. All right, we're going to take the tiny skew, little small skew, and we're just going to do a small stop cut all the way down. We're just going to follow our line all the way down. Just like this. I'm not going to worry too much. Just going to come all the way down. Alright, and then what we're going to do is, because I want to make sure you guys are seeing this. Alright, we're just going to come in beside where we took this cut down, and we're going to angle cut it just very lightly. Come in beside it, and trying to do this in a way you can see. Just going to slowly cut beside it. We're going to relieve, do a tiny relief cut right in here, come alongside there. And this could take a while, but we're going to come in real gentle. We're just going to sweep cut that real lightly, real gentle. Don't worry about your lines. Remember, all these lines are is a guideline, something to follow. All right, it don't have to turn out 100% perfect. The wood will tell you what it wants. All right, so come in there. We're just going to sweep it away, slowly cutting, slowly pushing our skew. Use your finger for control, all right? You're just going to keep on doing that until you get it all removed. You have to be patient, all right? Because if you get in a hurry, you'll make mistakes, all right? So I went all the way down here, made a stop cut all the way down. Then I came in from the side, and I cut along the side until that stop cut relieved. All right, so there is a small cut in there. I know you probably can't see it, but once it's stained, you will see it. It will be there. It'll get darker. It'll create a shadow. right, well that's that. Now I'm gonna come in and do basically the same thing. Let's see if I can't pull you in here a little bit. Right here, I'm gonna come into each one of these little lines like this one here. And I'm gonna cut right along the side of it. One side, I'm gonna do it a couple times. Make sure it's good and deep. There's 3 times, okay. Then I'm gonna come to the other side of it. I'm gonna do the same thing. I probably won't have to do it as many times, but we're gonna do it 3 times. There we go. Now there's our little feather line. I don't know what they call these lines and feathers, guys. Sorry, but there's our little feather line. See? Right there. We're just going to cut them in. And then when the stain goes in, that'll be darker. And it'll be almost like the top of this won't take as much stain as the rest of this will, like the in-cuts will. Because the in-cuts will actually suck the stain in and make it darker because there's end grain in there as well. Because you cut it. Alright, so I'm going to finish doing that. And then I'll bring you back and show you the end result. And then all that's left to do is sand it, you know, and sanding, well, sanding is as it is, you know. You just go and you sand it smooth. You use, well, I usually go from like 180 to 500 grit. That's usually good enough. Of course, there's this part up here. We're going to get to that too. Actually, I'll probably show you that right now. Okay, let's get in there where we can see. All right. Get this wire out of the way. All right. Now, see this right here? I'm going to do it a stop cut, just like before. 3, 4, 5. Make sure you can see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, now I'm going to come here. 1, make sure you can see. 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to go one more with that one. There we go. Then we're just going to come in and we're going to very carefully try to get underneath that chip. Alright. You're going to use your skew because your chisel won't be big enough. Alright, now that, my friends, that right there is a diamond cut. And you're basically coming in and you're cutting in on an angle. Alright? Cutting in on an angle. It's not diamond, it's triangle cut. And you're cutting in on an angle. Cut in on an angle. Now, really it's not a triangle cut because it's a relief cut. It's the basic stop cuts that we've been using, stock cuts and sweep cuts. But it's over elaborated. I'm over elaborating it for you guys because I wanted to show you a diamond cut. And basically that's what I'm doing right now is I'm cutting in on an angle. Cutting in on an angle. I'm cutting in on an angle until I get that pyramid. that I want. Come in on this side and we're going to cut, cut, cut. And it's not going to pop out right because I made too many cuts, but I'll try to find a piece of wood where I can show you a proper diamond cut, or a proper triangle pyramid cut. There you go, a pyramid cut, I think they call it. It's not in this one, and another one in another video. I can't really get it in this video because of the wood I'm covering in. Won't cooperate. We're gonna come in and we're just gonna try to clean that up as much as we can. Pop that out just like that. And then we just come in along the sides. And we just clean it up. Sorry if I'm in your way, but I'm just cutting along the side. Just cutting along the side here. Straight down. To kind of take away the fuzzy. Underneath that chip, cut again. Go underneath that chip again. Pull it out. There we go. All right, and there's your center cut for your A. Let's come in and make your little cuts until you get what you want. Like I said, it don't have to be perfect because you're going to come in with sandpaper. All right. Sandpaper will make all this little messy stuff go away because it takes off micro cuttings, shavings, or whatever you want to call them. It just makes little cuts. It scrapes the wood away. All right. So let me finish this up, and I'll bring you back when, let's see here. There we go. I'll finish these lines up, and when I get them done, I'll bring you back and we'll see the finished product and conclude this video with y'all, and you can take away what you want from this video for sure. All right, let me cut this and I'll come back in a minute. It'll be instant for you. It'll be probably another half hour for me. And there it is, guys. Now I'm just Gonna get this sanded down. It'll take all the marks off from it, or the permanent marks, and it'll smooth everything out. And I'll come back to you when that's done. I'm just gonna go to 120 and probably 500, just to smooth it all out, make everything look good, and round off the edges. So, alright guys, there it is. I'm gonna give you a shot of what it'll look like when it's standing up. Now this is gonna go to Dee over at Native Tearz. I got shipped to her anyway. I got something I'm sending her. We're actually working on a collab together. So definitely go over there, check her out. And we're going to be doing other tutorials hopefully for you guys in the future, because I find it really strange that there aren't more carving tutorial classes out there. And not that I'm a master carver, because I'm not. But I do a lot of carving. And I'm willing to share what I know for those of you out there that are carving and finding it hard to find things on carving and how to carve. Alright. I also like to give a big shout out to my buddy Robert over at Bluegrass Bushcraft. He actually asked me to do these tutorials on carving, and this is beginner basics, I guess. First of I don't know, maybe a series of 2 or 3 different videos I'll do for you. The next video, hopefully I'll have some real wood. This was a pain in the butt. I do not suggest carving on plywood. If you're going to carve, I would suggest to use a soft wood like willow or basswood or something to that effect to start out with and get used to using your knives and whatnot. And then as you get better at it, you can start doing some hardwoods maybe. All right, let me get this stood up and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, there it is. Forget the mess in the background. I've been carving, so. Try to get everything in there. Here we go. Close up with that feather. Like I said, it was hard to carve, hard to sand. But it turned out alright. It didn't turn out bad. And, Dee, I hope you like it. And, it should look good on a shelf with a nice pretty picture of you in it. You can decorate it any way you want, dear. I'm not going to stain it. I'm not going to color it. I'm not going to paint it. I'm not finishing it. I'll leave that all up to you, dear. And that way you can make it as pretty as you want. Alright. Well, I hope you enjoyed the carving tutorial video. I hope I did a good job at it. And if you'd like to see more of these type of videos, let me know. I'm your buddy. I'm your friend. I'm Dark Matter, and I'm out.
Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And don't forget to share this video to all your media sources. I'm your buddy. I'm your friend. I'm Dark Matter, and I'm out.
You don't know the power of the dark side.
The power of the dark side.